In the headlines, ECOWAS chairman says regional bloc will pursue diplomacy in resolving Niger crisis. Death toll from plateau violence rises to 21. Tribunal sacks NNPP House of Representative member in Kano over alleged certificate forgery, declares APC candidate. Away from Nigeria, Uganda president defiant after World Bank suspends funding over LGBT law. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. And now the news in full. Chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, says the regional bloc will pursue diplomacy and earnest dialogue with all parties involved to restore constitutional governance in the Republic of Niger. It seems to be a step down from the sub-regional body's stance 12 days ago when it issued a healthy ultimatum, imposed sanctions and closed borders of West African countries against Niger. President Tinubu spoke on Thursday in Abuja at the opening of the second extraordinary summit on the socio-political situation in the Republic of Niger. He told West African leaders that it was their duty to exhaust all avenues of engagement to ensure a swift return to constitutional governance in Niger. Though the reinstatement of elected Nigerian President Mohamed Bazoum is looking far off by the day, President Tinubu is insisting that all parties must be involved in convincing the coup leaders to relinquish power and reinstate President Bazoum. The ECOWAS chairperson expressed confidence that the second ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit will be a defining moment in the journey towards a stronger, more resilient and integrated West Africa.
We still look to engage the party involved, including the coup leaders, in honest discussion to convince them to relinquish power as suggested and reinstate President Bazoum. It is our duty to exhaust all avenues of engagement to ensure a swift return to constitutional governance in Niger. More specifically, as leaders of our respective nations, we must recognize that the political crisis in Niger not only poses a threat to the stability of the nations, but also has far-reaching implications for the entire West African region.
In the meantime, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, on Thursday commended President Bola Tinubu's diplomatic approach in resolving the crisis currently faced by the Republic of Niger. CAN President Archbishop Daniel Oko, in a statement, also commended the leadership of ECOWAS for their unwavering commitment to discouraging coup d'etat and the forceful takeover of power. The Christian body, however, warned against military intervention in Niger, saying that such move will create enmity between Nigeria and its neighbors in the embattled country. CAN also implored all stakeholders involved in the matter to embrace peaceful negotiations, exercise restraint, and tirelessly work towards a sustainable resolution of the crisis in Niger. The military leaders in Niger who seized power in a coup last month have formed a new government. According to a decree read out on national television on Thursday, Prime Minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zaini will lead the 21-member government with generals from the new military governing council heading the defense and interior ministries. The head of the mutineers who took control of Niger, General Abdulrahmani Chiani, has issued a decree establishing a new transitional administration. Reports say Chiani signed the order on Wednesday, adding that the new interim administration now has 21 ministers. A very small percentage of the new government's members are listed as serving in the military. Time don't toll from Thursday's morning attack on Haipan community of Bariki Ladi local government area, Plateau State, has risen to 21. Daily Trust had earlier reported how 17 persons were confirmed killed in the area by suspected gunmen. The spokesperson of Operation Safe Haven, a security task force in the state, Ola James, had earlier confirmed that 17 persons were killed in the attack, suspecting that the attack was a reprisal to the killing of a commuter and injuring one on Monday. But the Berum Youth Molders Association, in a statement signed by a spokesperson, Ruang Tengwon, said aside the 17 persons killed in the community, 4 more bodies of vigilantes were recovered, accusing Fulani militia alongside bandits of launching the attack. Reacting to the allegation, the state chairman of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Magban, Nur Abdullahi, has denied the allegation, saying the killing was not carried out by members of the group. The Magban chairman, however, condemned the incident, describing it as a barbaric, blaming the security for not responding swiftly before the attack was launched. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service says the body of a male adult that jumped into the lagoon on Tuesday afternoon from Lekki Ikoyi Link Bridge has been recovered. The director of the service, Margaret Adesei, confirmed this in a statement on Thursday. Adesei said the search and rescue operations immediately alerted on the incident was received on Tuesday. She said the team had been in search until the body was recovered on Thursday at the Lesama end of the lagoon bank. She added that the recovered body has been handed over to the deceased family. The National and State House of Assembly Elections Petition Tribunal sitting in Kano has nullified the election of Tarauni Federal Constituency member Mukhtar Yarima of the New Nigeria People's Party over certificate forgery. The petitioner Hafizu Kawu of the APC challenged the electoral victory of Mukhtar Yarima, which the tribunal nullified on Thursday. The 3-member tribunal ruled that the primary school certificate tendered by the respondent Mukhtar Yarima was forged. The tribunal averred that Hausawa Primary School has disowned the certificate as the name of the respondent is not on its record. The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has adjourned till Tuesday, August 15 for further hearing in applications filed by the suspended Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele, seeking to stop the federal government from further remanding or persecuting him on the charge of illegal possession of firearm and ammunition or on any other charge. Justice Nicholas Oyibo ruled that the application, which touched on the jurisdiction of the court, was priority and will be taken alongside another application filed by the government seeking leave to appeal against the order granting bail to the suspended CBN governor. Counsel to the suspended CBN governor Victor Opara-San had told the court that the application was germane and superior by reason of the resistance of the persistent, relentless disobedience of the DSS to a clear, direct and potent order of the court on the bail application of his client. Counsel to the federal government, Ka Pabemi, who disagreed with the defense counsel, told the court that the prosecution had filed first its application seeking to leave to appeal and to stay the proceedings of the court pending appeal. She urged the court to hear the federal government application and grant an adjournment for Emefiele's application. The court then adjourned to August 15th for hearing of both applications. Residents and business owners in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, have called on the federal government to fix Nigeria's ailing refineries in order to end the rising cost of living. They made the call following the hike in the price of premium motor spirit, popularly called fuel, due to the removal of fuel subsidy. Trustee this Friday, Imovome Peter reports.
The removal of fuel subsidy in the country have caused increase in the price of commodities, premium motor spirit, popularly known as fuel, and even hike in transportation system. Residents and business owners in Yenagoa who could not bear the pains occasioned by the subsidy removal called on the federal government to fix the refineries in the country. A resident in Yenagoa, Bekela Bomompa Odu, said the subsidy removal affects everybody, including the rich and the poor, that even palliative cannot solve the situation considering the era we are now.
Subsidy removal is affecting everybody in the country. Why am I saying so? Because once you touch one sector of the economy as sensitive as fuel, and you know that everybody, either you travel by air, you travel by road, you travel by water, you travel by air, and even if you travel by air, you have to take a taxi. So it affects almost everybody in this country, particularly people who are not buoyant.
Also, is business owners in Yenagoa, named by Emmanuel, who is a provision store owner, and Emmanuel Friday, a laundry shop owner, expressed the difficulties they experienced as a result of the subsidy removal, that their businesses has not been good ever since the federal government pronouncement.
In drinks, copious are no longer only gen based on the fuel subsidy. Yes, because when you go to fuel station to buy a fuel now, you cannot be able to afford the liter of fuel. So based on in provision level to go to market and buy goods there, the provisions there. Now the transport affair is very costly. So when you look those transport affair now to put the price of stay, customer will definitely complain. So it's very affected.
They think they worry me well now because of that. So don't put my price for the cloth to where they iron. Customer need to come again and me say no can work. Before now 400 why they collect it, now say na 600. What thing I want now make the government do, so make then got the fuel price down.
Friday, Ebimoboy Peter, Trust TV News, Yenagoa.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming off after the break, we take a look at how to resolve farmer-herder conflict. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Book Review on Trust TV, where we talk to African and international authors.
You see, if you're reading a Chinua Achebe book, you can almost hear the Igbo behind the English.
From memory, I was able to come up with that. Of course, I also had to do research. You know, I tried to tie it to colonial era. I wanted to show the impact they had in on the Fulani culture when they came.
Teacher librarians are those who are librarians, but they also teach. They teach the use of library, the use of books. Because if you don't teach, these children, make it part of them, they will not be in love with it. And then you have to select, the kind of book that would encourage them to read.
Welcome back, and if you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV, and here is the recap of some of our top stories. ECOWAS chairman says regional bloc will resolve to diplomacy in resolving Niger crisis. And death toll from Plateau violence rises to 21. Now, moving on to other stories. The healthcare delivery system in Katsina State is on the brink of a crash as medical doctors in the state are overstretched due to paucity hands. This alarming situation is leaving the healthcare system in a state of crisis, with only emergency services being provided at some hospitals. Jamil Mabai was given exclusive access to some hospitals where he filed in this report.
Looking pale and exhausted, doctors in Katsina are overwhelmed with workload. In the last quarter, 25 doctors have left the state services. And according to Dr. Saminu, an additional 20 are planning to leave this month.
The state of affairs of health in Katsina State, so to say, is in a very sorry state. I will tell you every day where I work, I almost say on a daily basis, I signed resignation letters. In fact, on daily basis, they are living, gravitating either within the state, migrating from the state services to the federal establishment or to the NGOs that we have in the state, or some of them have left for abroad.
In Ture Specialist Hospital and the State General Hospital, only emergency services are rendered. The situation is alarming.
Because of the shortage of manpower, the General Hospital, ONG section, they have to close down their gynae clinic. And it also happened the same thing in Ture. Because of the manpower, we cannot continue. We just have to provide emergency services only. Unfortunately, as I'm talking to you today, we don't have any ophthalmologists at that eye center today. When I took over, we have 3 pediatricians working with the state government. And now, as I'm talking to you, we have only 1 pediatrician remaining. That's in General Hospital Katsina. So, and then when you look at the subspecialties, like in the ONG, was the same story. At a time, we have about 6 gynecologists in the state. Now we have just barely 1 or 2 gynecologists working with the state government. It's the same story with other specialties. We have only 1 nephrologist, only 1 urologist, 1 neurosurgeon. So you find it very difficult, even those that are around, you find it very difficult to work.
With an estimated population of 10 million people, there are less than 100 active doctors available.
Mostly doctors look at their career progression. And then secondly is the remunerations, the welfare package, and then the working condition. You assured me of my own career progression, which is not applicable in the state government. And then the other issue is the working condition. I will tell you that we are, so to say, still offering a healthcare services that is more than 50 years old, because the equipment, the gadgets that we are supposed to use that are latest are not there. So you realize that even a specialist only offers some rudimentary services, where his friends are providing a high-tech surgery. He here is limited, still providing the services like he's still in the 1970s.
According to the World Health Organization, a doctor-patient ratio of 1 to 600 is the basic standard. In Katsina, it is 1 to 100,000. The situation is further exacerbated by the emergence of bandits' attack in Katsina. The new state government says it has a clear strategic health plan in place to address the deficit in the sector.
The agenda, especially of His Excellency, the transformation agenda, health component in that respect, concurs or it keys into the health system, touches virtually every component of the health system, especially the human resource for health.
Dr. Samini is worried after witnessing 2 of his colleagues collapsing due to workload. In this state of distress, more doctors will certainly leave the state services. Jamil Mobay, Trust TV, Katsina.
A cross-section of Benue residents have called on the federal and state governments to put modalities in place to enable farmers go back to their ancestral homes as a way of ensuring food security in the state and the country at large. They are worried that at the moment little or nothing is said about tackling the farmer herders crisis, which has negatively impacted farming and food production in the state. Jamie Azandi reports.
While a lot is said about the agricultural economy, some are of the opinion that the first thing to do is to address the farmer herder crisis through the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law of the state.
Let government take a dispassionate look at it. Bring all the key stakeholders, and I emphasize businesses because that's important. Bring the herding community, bring the businesses, bring everybody. Give them equal ground to speak about this law and suggest new ways of going about it. And implement their recommendations, because their recommendations will help us make progress. Let's not politicize this. It's not about politics. Secondly, there are mitigation measures. Let mitigation measures be developed on the basis of the evidence on ground, not on the basis of somebody's figment of the imagination.
They mentioned some of the effects on the agricultural economy in the state.
The effect is serious on food production. The effect is serious on animal husbandry. The effect is serious on farming practices and all of that. And nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to give serious attention to it.
There is hope that the issue will be addressed as hinted by the government.
Is pointing to the fact that many things will change in the Ministry of Agriculture. I think we're going to experience better time this time. Because like I said to His Excellency, this is the first time in about 10 years that we are having a discussion on the auspices of the governor. Called us together and said, let's interact on the issues that affect agriculture.
One of the campaign promises of Governor Hyacinth Alia was to return the farmers displaced by herders' invasion of the state to their ancestral homes within his first 100 days in office. Many are looking forward to the fulfillment of that promise with each passing day. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
The federal government has urged the National Council on Climate Change to develop a comprehensive climate change adaptation project for flood management in Nigeria. This will form part of the agenda at the COP28 scheduled to hold later in the year in Dubai and define regional priorities of ECOWAS. Government expressed the hope that the project will help to avert severe floods across the country in the future and design a clear plan to resuscitate the Lake Chad basin. The report.
Climate change is set to reduce the length and reliability of the rainy season, increase the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, and cause land degradation, soil erosion, and low farm output. Nigeria is gearing up for the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties, COP28. Its participation will focus on federal government's plan to implement a $100 billion loss and damage funding. This represents a commitment to bolster climate finance through various channels.
The loss and damage agreement, which provided hope for many low-income countries bearing the brunt of climate change, must be finalized in Dubai. Just energy transition, where we expect discussion to focus on incentivizing and enabling emerging economies to transit sustainably in accordance with their national priorities, capacities, and based on greater financial support, must also be finalized, taking cognizance of the need to include more favorable terms for developing countries, along with technology transfer.
With an existing act stressing on the Climate Change Action Plan, Nigeria's priorities are set to be measured.
It is the implementation of these various instruments that you hear what the Renewable Energy Agency is doing in terms of promoting mini-grids. You hear what the NNPC and Ministry of Petroleum are doing with respect to implementing the petroleum industry bill that sets to end gas flaring by 2030. You also hear what Ministry of Agriculture is doing in terms of carrying out and popularizing climate smart agriculture, that minimizes wastage of both water, the soil, and other resources that go into agriculture.
Climate change is one of the most pressing issues facing the world today. Nigeria, as Africa's most populous and largest economy, is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change due to its diverse ecological zones, high dependence on natural resources, and low adaptive capacity. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now away from Nigeria, Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni on Thursday denounced the World Bank's decision to suspend new funding in response to a harsh anti-LGBTQ law and vowed to find alternative sources of credit. The country will have to revise its budget to absorb the move's potential impact, a junior finance minister said. The World Bank said on Tuesday that the law, which imposes the death penalty for citing same-sex acts, contradicted its values and that it will pause new funding until it could test measures to prevent discrimination in projects it finances. The World Bank has an existing portfolio of $5.2 billion in Uganda, although this project will not be affected. The anti-LGBTQ law enacted in May has drawn widespread criticism from local and international rights organizations and Western governments. Though it is popular domestically, Museveni said in a statement that Uganda was trying to reduce borrowing in any case and would not give in to pressure from foreign institutions. And finally, on sports news, Rangers midfielder Chukwudi Nwadu has revealed that the team's target is to win the Nigeria Professional Football League next season. Nwadu was recently appointed captain of the Flying Antelopes following Uche John's departure to Rivers United. The Coal City side last won the NPFL title in 2017. Nwadu, however, believes that they can beat other teams to the title in the 2023-2024 season. He also encouraged his teammates to brace up for the challenge in order to achieve their collective goal. The 2023-2024 NPFL season will commence on Saturday, August 26. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust TV's news update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream. I am Abdurrahman Umar. Thanks for watching and bye for now.